architecture of the database system. Since we are talking about the database again, so database, or we can say the entire management system. And if we have a management system, of course, followed by the database, so the term is known as the database management system. And it is system. So this system should be managed by the some properties or some attributes, and those are recognized by the how to manage the query and how to manage the transaction, and what are the various users uh, to use the such kind of the to use such kind of the databases. As a user you can access the details only, but as a programmer will do some amendment into the databases. So how it is possible? So that is also done by the some query, and that is followed by the SQL query language. So SQL, that is a structure query language. So we have the various kind of the user, so we will see all the concepts to the diagram way. So architecture of database management system just simply describe that to the entire database system architecture, and it helps in the development, implementation, design, and maintenance of the database. So, and who will maintain the database, and who will develop the database, and how we can access the information. So overall architecture is necessary. So the storing and organizing is necessary. So in terms of the data structure and algorithm, if you're looking for the data structure, and then why algorithm is required, and why we have the different kind of data structure. So data structure just defines that what kind of data you have and how to organize and how to manage. So we have the different algorithms. So those are recognized by the linear way or non-linear way. So we can say stack queue, linked list, and tree, and graph we have also. So depend on the flavor or different kind of the data, we have the data structure, and it defines the structure of the data. So after inspiring from the data structure concept, we have the database management system. So how to organize and how to manage the such things, and what are the various sources by which that is to be managed. That could be simple agencies and business and any institutions. The institution could be the education institute or financial institute. So in the base of any database management system, we need to perform some functions, and those functions will provide some efficiency in efficient way to learn that how to manipulate and how to handle those data, and how to define the new data if it is required. So such thing is also enter come into the architecture of the database management system. Before learning the actual diagram or actual architecture of the database management system, or database management system of a system, first we need to learn that what are the various kind of the database management system we can apply. So we have the different three different categories. Okay, so according to books or according to internet sources, you will find a different things. So I'm categorizing the architecture of the database management system into the different way. So first we need to learn the what are the various category where we can see the database management system architecture, and then we will see the actual architecture of the database management system. Okay, so here we are just on the introductory part of the database management system architecture. So so data management system architecture can be seen into the either a single tier or multi-tier. So what is mean by the single tier or multi-tier? And the single tier means only the database is connected to the only the users only. But talking about the multi-tier, then other interfaces are required. And what are those interfaces? We will see these two the concept of the multi-tier by the help of the two-tier and three-tier architecture. So we will see all the concept one by one. So I'm just looking for the concept about the category of the database architecture first, and now I'm taking because this is a real application where we can apply. So first let us understand the application based architecture of the database management system. So I'm categorizing the architecture of the database system into three different categories. One is one tier, two tier, and three tier. So so I'm just move to the my next slide. Now here what we need to see. So you have understood what we need to what we need to see. We need to see the architecture of the database management system. Okay, now is it clear to all about this slide? Yes, please tell me any doubt here
No,
what we
sir.
need to. Okay,
No,
so
sir.
first what we are looking for, we are looking for the category of the architecture of the database system where we can apply. Okay, so I'm just moving to my next slide. So architecture of database management system, we have the three category. One is a one tier architecture, two tier architecture, and three tier architecture. So architecture is categorized into a three different way. One is one tier, two tier, and three tier. In the name we suggest that is one tier. Okay, so there is a one part, that is two part, and three part. But how we can say what are the part are necessary? So user involvement is necessary. So moving to the my first tier architecture, then you can see. So in one tier architecture, what we need to do theoretically or very simple and concise way notes I'm putting into the, so you can learn from this about the one tier architecture. So the in the one tier architecture, the database is directly available to the database management system user for executing the SQL queries and storing the data in it. So please point out red the line which is drawn or which is written by the red color. The database is directly available to the database management system user for executing the SQL query and storing the data in it. Nowadays, I'm using the MySQL on the my laptop to explore the details about the database system to you. Then this data is directly connected to me. Okay, so as a user, okay, as a Viren Singh Kushwaha is connected with the this laptop and database stored into the my laptop as well. So I'm having the concept of the or what kind of the architecture I'm having right now. That is a one tier architecture. So these are simple things. Okay, so while developing any application on the my system, or while developing any application or any things on your laptop as well, so you are directly connected with your database management system without any interface. Interface means without any other thing or other people or other any different interface, technical interface. So that is known as the one tier architecture. So in the diagram is showing that the user is directly connected to the database
Excuse me, sir.
with, yes, please tell me.
Sir, so what you were doing yesterday was an example of one-tier architecture, right?
Yes, of course. We are doing each and everything from the MySQL to or MySQL to and see the result. That is a part of the one tier architecture. And though another no other technical thing, no technical interface means no other user involvement, no other application which is required to fetching the data is required. So that is the only simple. We are getting the detail directly without any interface. So we have the one tier architecture. Yeah, of course. So this is the best example. Okay. Any changes, anything what I'm updating, what I'm executing, okay, I'm directly directly changing onto the my database. And this is part of the one tier architecture. Am I using any interface like a web application? Am I using any other tool by which I'm updating the database? No, I'm directly communicating the database, just putting the SQL queries like update, insert, or alter, or create something. So this is the one tier architecture. Okay, now is it clear to you all? Yes. Any doubt here? You can ask me, please.
No doubt, sir.
It is simple, clear. One tier architecture means we are directly connected to the our database. No other thing is required. Okay. Now is it clear to all? Now shall I move to my next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the what this is the applications part. What how the architecture will look like? Okay, just one give me 1 second. Yes. This is a two tier architecture. So example is over, diagram is over here. One tier architecture. So it's directly connected. Now next we have the two tier architecture. Now after the concept about the one tier architecture, can anyone tell me what is mean by the two tier architecture after reading the some points from the slide? Yes, please tell me. Any student who just knows about the part or who is just looking for the developing the application and followed by of course followed by the database management system. Yes, please. Any student who want to develop or who want to speak something about the two tier architecture, because you are known to the such term. That's why I'm saying. Yes, please tell me. Yes, you can read the point over there and then you can speak.
Sir,
User not directly having access to database.
Okay, good. This is the first point. This is the very appropriate point. And next point, you are on the absolute right point.
User take any interface to update database or access database.
Yeah, of course. This is the good point. So you can say this is a user. Okay, this is a user, and this is a database which is stored onto your system as well without any problem. So the user is not directly using database. Okay, I'm not executing any command on the MySQL. Okay, or any other database like Oracle Sybase or Microsoft SQL Server. We have, there is no problem to fetch up the data, to retrieve data, to update the data. I'm using any other tool. Okay, that could be web application or that could be non-web application. So here we have heard the term that is known as the JDBC and ODBC. So with help of the JDBC ODBC, this is the third party tool which is supported by the Microsoft or Windows operating system. So with help of the this ODBC JDBC bridge for accessing data from the any database, and this is the concept we will apply while we are accessing the data from the any database by the Java programming language. Okay, so there is an API, that is the application programming interface. This is ODBC JDBC ODBC bridge. So we are accessing the information through this channel. So the concept which is required by the two tier means two things required to the data. Okay, two things are required to data. Those are, one is a user and other is a API. Okay, so this is the JDBC ODBC part. Okay, this is the, okay, no problem. But 1.1 Java version 1.12 Java 1.6. Okay, since I was already involved in the Java programming and so much. So first version I have used in Java 1998. Okay, so Java 1.1 I'm taking, and last time I have used the Java in 2017. So I found that Java 1998 to 2017, when the Java version was a 1.1 to 1.6, you can access the data database or any table or anything through the Java API, and at the time you need to JDBC ODBC bridge. Okay, and you can found JDBC ODBC bridge into the Windows operating system, into Windows operating systems part or system setting part or administrative tools. You can find the such tool. But after the 1.7 or from the 1.7 version, this JDBC ODB is not required. Okay, at the time the other thing is required, other technique is, other method is required. So it has own facility, and you this facility known by the Derby server. Okay, and this is supported by the NetBeans, because NetBeans was most popular during 2017 to 2019. Okay, so during this period, JDBC can be done by or by the NetBeans. NetBeans is the ID. Okay, so through this ID, if you try to access the information through the JDBC or DBC, so your program will not be supported, because in right now you are using the Java version 1.7. So while learning the Java 1.7 version, while using the Java 1.7 version, at a time the you have to use the different server rather than the JDBC or DBMS. This is a drawback. So we can say it is not drawback. We can say it is a features we have to use. So the interface is changed. Previously it was the API, that is JDBC or DBMS, but right now we have the different interface, that is a Derby server, or we have another server by which we can do. And now we have the Glassfish server as well. Okay, NetBeans also support the Glassfish server to fetch up the record from the databases. So what the application what the front-end tool you are using, it doesn't mean, but the backend tool you are using. So for accessing the data, you have the Glass server tool. So this is the Glass server that is involved into the or installed into the NetBeans. So this is an example of the two-tier architecture. It means two things is required. One is user and other is interface, or we can say API. So you can read out over here the tradition. Those are ODBC and JDBC. But I did the practical from 1.1 Java version 1.1 to the 1.7 so far. So I found the differences between all those parts. So this is a practical things I'm sharing with you about the two-tier architecture. And now what are the various tools which is supported by the two-tier architecture? So those are, we have the Oracle. So Oracle is the database name, okay, and it has the facility to provide the two-tier architecture. Now we have the Sybase, we have the Microsoft SQL Server. So nowadays most of the databases providing the facility in terms of the two-tier architecture as well. So now you're looking for the three-tier architecture supported database. So it is support one-tier architecture directly, two-tier architecture directly, because it has a facility to support the three-tier architecture itself. So this is the idea we have. Okay, two-tier architecture and one-tier architecture. Let me clear to all once again. One tier architecture means you are accessing the information, just putting the queries only and nothing else specially. But whenever you need to access the such database through the an interface, then we have the two tier architecture. You can use any other interface instead of the ODBC, JDBC base, instead of the Derby server, instead of the Glassfish server. Okay, so you can access the any information. So this is a two tier architecture, and let me explore more thing about the diagrammatic way so you can learn. Now, first is a simple architecture. Now we have the database system, that is a server. Okay, I have installed the database into the one server. Okay, and I have the lots of the client. So I have the lots of the client, and they can access the information from the anywhere. So through the application, user access the information through the application. Okay, so here I can put the example like BTOP. Okay, BTOP is our application by which I am accessing the information. So user could be the faculty and student. So student faculty can access the database of the VIT Bhopal server with help of the VTOP. So this is a good example of the, this is a good example of the two-tier architecture, we can say. Okay, so this is a good thing. So what is the interface why which I am getting through the VTOP application? So I'm just logging through the web browser, I'm putting the website name, and I'm getting the detail of the my marks detail. I'm getting the so many details. So how I'm getting? Through the VTOP server. So how server is connected to the such application, that is the VTOP. So this is the point I can say, the good example of the two-tier architecture. You are not directly accessing the database, but at the time you have to use any interface. Okay, that could be web application or any server based information. So this is the point. Okay, so is it clear to all? Our diagram you have along with this diagram, that is the client 1, client 2, client 3, and we have the database server. So at a time the multiple user can access the same database or same information. So here we have the different level of the database. Okay, so on the different level we can access the information. Now this is a good example of the two-tier architecture. Now is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
And now just I have the query to all, why it is known as a database server? Why it is known as database server? Can anyone give me a idea why it is known as a database server? Just please tell me. This is a term we need to understand over here. If you're looking for the two-tier architecture, that's why I'm saying.
So maybe because it's a server which contains all the data, like
Okay,
in the
good.
form of tables and all.
Good. So I'm elaborating your answer in simple way. Now client one just making request to this database. I need to fetch some detail from the table or from the database. So from the reply and request concept, okay, here request will be done by the client and reply will be done by the server. Okay, that's why it is name given to server, which provide the services. So database server just provide the services in terms only the database only. Now we have the web server. Now we have the various kind of servers. So each and every server has a own facility to providing the its own domain. That could be database server, that could be the web server, that could be any kind of the server. So web server just provide the web application oriented things. Now you can access the same website from the various sources, like from the mobile, from the desktop, from the laptop, you are accessing the same website. Okay, so that is also supported by the web server. So what the application you are using, what the web server we have accessing, so this is also part of the web server. But right now we are on the part of the database, so we need to talk about only the database server right now. So this is the server, or this is the database which is to be stored onto server machine, and server machine will provide the data client query one or depend on the what kind of algorithm which is supported by the server. So on the basis round robin or on the basis of the first come first server, and that algorithm or that query will be executed, and that is result to be passed on to the respectively clients. That could be C1, C2, and C3. So here that's why it is known as the server. Now the database server will be stored onto the server machine. Okay, this is server machine, and here will be the client 1 to client n. There could be many client, and they are making a request from the server. I just need to know the detail about the student who belong to the city Bhopal. Okay, this client is just, or this student is requesting, I need to know the name of the student who belong to the only the Tamil Nadu state. Okay, so they have their own view, they have their own request, but they are accessing the same database. So this is the point. This is a good example of the two-tier architecture. Now, is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
And accessing, they are not accessing directly. While accessing, they have internal interface something. So without the internal information, they can't access. So this is the known thing which is known the two-tier architecture. So the diagram we have over here, the real application example we have over here. Now it is clear to all about the two-tier architecture. Yes, please tell me any doubt, then you can ask me. So one tier architecture and two-tier architecture is clear to all.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? No doubt. Then shall I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next we have the three-tier architecture. When we're talking about the three-tier architecture, it is advanced now, but it is basically what happened. It is since last 10 year, I am also seeing this three-tier architecture. As a student, most of the student will implement their project on the two-tier architecture. But right now, we are using the three-tier architecture in current era. Three-tier architecture is most common architecture nowadays, which is supported by the any places, or which is supported by the any system right now. So in the DBMS, we have the three-tier architectures, which is consisted by the different layers, and we have the three different layers. One is the database layer, another is application layer, and presentation layer. And this is concept is completely inspired by the computer networking concept. And why computer networking concept? Because in last few years it is founded, most of the system are having own different hardware, most of the system having own different software system. Now the things which is implemented by the Windows operating system, if your friend who is having the Mac operating system, is he or she will try to access your information, and which is installed or which is developed by the Windows operating system, he or she is able to access. Why? Because the computer network just provide the facility, the work on the different layers. Okay, when you study or when you will try to learn more about the computer network, then we have the different layers, and each and every layer has own meaning. Okay, so each and every layer all has own meaning. It means when you need to communicate one system to another communication, the user feel it, I am communicating directly, but it is not happening so over there. It is just completely passed by the 7 different layers. Those are the data physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, application layer, presentation layer. So, okay, so we have the different kind of the layer, and along with we have the another layer that is known as session layer. So there is a model. Okay, model which is used by the computer network. The completely concept which is inspired by the three-tier architecture we have over here, and three-tier architecture is supported by the internet as well. This is also supported by the internet as well. For implementing the uh, for implementing the two-tier architecture, there's no internet is required. Okay, suppose I have the server into the my university, no problem. There is a while making the while making the local server, and I can access the information from the local server inside the my campus. So there is no internet is required over there. Why I'm just wasting cost for the providing the or having the internet? No, for using the internet or for the local server, I can access directly without any problem, but there is interface will be. So that's why the we have the two-tier architecture. But when talking about the internet or any kind of the networking facility, like right now you are in the Bhopal city, or like you are sitting into the any Chennai city, so Chennai or other city, but we are communicating through the concept that is known as the internet. So if I have the database over here and I'm giving the facility, you can access the my database server without any problem. So you have to go through the some layers, and those are the presentation layer and applications layer. And database layer support the information in form of the data which is to be stored into the my system. So it is also known as a database server, we can say. To explain that have the three different layers, okay. And among from these three layers, we can say we can access the information in form of the theta architecture. Okay, so this is the point, and let us understand the one by one each and every layer. Those are presentation layer. So in the presentation layer, this presentation layer will be prepared or will be accessible by the client layer. So this is also known as the client layer. When the client is just sending the request to the server, so client doesn't know how it will communicate to the server, how we are getting the information. It doesn't mean for me, because a client or user does not know the internal working of the communicating purpose. So presentation layer only the presenting the things which is to be required by the user only. Like right now I am just showing my PPT to all three tier architecture. Now it is visible to all. I am writing something over here, but you don't know how it is to be interpreted internally. Okay, and that is also done by the internal layers of the network. And when you will learn more about the internal computer network, then you will see in practical way then how it is communicating. So presentation layer is also known as the client layer, and it also refers to the as a front end tool. Okay, and that is known as the website. So I am putting the website like gmail.com. So I'm just putting the only gmail.com on the my URL. After pressing enter, Gmail server will give the response that is Gmail. You can open without any problem, but how it is opening you don't know, and that is known as the presentation layer, which is done by only the client side. Okay, so this is the presentation layer. If we're talking about the application layer, application layer is also known as the business logic layer. It is I can say it is an internal layer, and how the logic behind the access the information for business kind of information. Business kind of information means you can access the large volume of the information. So that's why it is known as the business logic layer, and it represent as a middle layer when the database communicate to the application layer and application communicate to the presentation layer. So we can say it acts as a middle layer, or we can say I'm as a faculty or you are the student, so you can't directly communicate to the BC. So there are BC and faculty and student, so there is a three different layer. So I've just treated as a middle layer, so I can pass your information to the BC sir directly without any problem. So there's a part, okay, there is proper channels. So this is the important part. So I can say I am communicate to the BC directly, or I communicate to directly with the students. So student cannot directly communicate to the BC due to some reason, because we have to follow the protocol. So same thing, we have some protocols or some layers mechanisms. So application layers can deal with the database layer and presentation layer, and presentation layer is directly communicate to the client. So when the client just putting the gmail.com or xyz.com, there is some website, suppose I'm taking the example. So the website is opening without any interface, okay, without any problem. But user feel I'm just putting the xyz.com, so it is opening. But internally, how it is to be interpreted, and then application layer play important role to deal with communicating with the database layer and presentation layer. So that's why it just exchange the information from database server or database layer to the presentation layer, and how it is happening, how it is managed, and that is done by the business logic layer. And now why the name is given over there business logic layer, because there are some logic, there are some rules and regulation for or which is consisted by the this layer. So this is the point we have over here. Now, after those, okay, you are withdrawing the amount from the ATM. I'm taking real application. You are withdrawing the amount from the ATM. So you have the ATM card, ATM pin number. Just after putting the ATM card and or pin number, you will get the amount without any problem. But how it is to be interpreted? But you are not visiting the bank personally, but after the few seconds, your bank account is updated automatically. So all are done by the some layer. All are done by the some applications part. Okay, so internet, it is written some codes. Okay, it is written into the some chunk of the codes we have, why which the information to be updated, or after depositing. Okay, after the few minutes we will found it, oh, our account is credited. So same thing we have over here. And at the last, database layer is also recognized by the database server. Okay, so it will keep the information in the large volume of the same thing. So these are the three different layer, by which we can say the 3 architecture is most important part right now in today's era. Now you can see this part. So client is what? Client is directly access the information. Client is directly access the information from the database server. But this database server is having own application part or own application interface, and that is to be supported by the network, or that is also supported by the any kind of the network we have. So application client is represented by the client application, and database is represented by the database application. Now you can see here this real example: user 1, user 2, or user 3. We can say client 1, client 2, client 3. So this is a client layer. So client is giving the request to the database. So directly we feel we are accessing the information directly, but it is not happening so like this. First the information will go to the application layer, and this application layer is also known as the business logic layer. So in this business logic layer, if we are putting the wrong details, or we are putting the anything which is not suitable, or which is not an optimized way, so will get an error. So before accessing data, or before putting the force, or before putting the high request on the particular database server or database, it is better idea to first check the validation, you are putting the right information or you are putting the wrong information. So when you try to put the uh, wrong email id, something like that, okay, something. So first it will check by the data application. You have not opened the website properly. Okay, you are trying to you have not opened the Gmail. So without opening Gmail, can you access the Gmail? You can you log into the Gmail? No. So first you need to see your Gmail is or website is open properly. Same thing we have over here. So this is the most important layer, that is the business logic layer. And finally this database layer is also handled by the database server as well. We can say this is a database server. So this is a three different layer, and in this layer we can say these are the three tile architecture, and all these kind of the architecture is implemented into the DBMS architecture. So database management system architecture, how will look like, I will explain. But before that we need to understand what are the various category or area where we can use. So I shown my example, I shown PPTs to explore idea about the where we can use the different kind of the architecture nowadays we have. Now if you have the large use organization, so you can go for the entire architecture. So in entire architecture what we have the multiple applications layer, or we can say we can have the another different layer on which we can optimize the more and more requests which is providing or which is given by the users. So nowadays, I'm not pretty sure about right now about the Google, but maybe the Google is not using three-tier architecture. It is using the entire architecture, and how many layers it is supported by the Google server, I don't know. So definitely it would be more than the 3 or 4 layers. So definitely we can say the Google has the entire architecture. So this is the point we need to keep in mind. So this is the important point. So this is just idea about the three-tier architectures. Yes, Trent. Please tell me any doubt here. One tier architecture, two tier architecture, and three tier architectures. Yes, please tell me. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Is it clear to all what is mean by the one tier architecture? Let me summarize one way in the two statements or three statements. We can say one tier architecture means you are directly access the database, okay, without any interface. In two-tier architecture, we are accessing the database with some interface or with some API, and this two-tier architecture can be implemented in simple way anywhere, no problem. So in the local network, we have the two-tier architecture. But suppose we are using the application layer or business logic layer in uh, in a two-tier architecture, so we can say we have the three-tier architecture, and the layer is changed in the name by the client layer and database layer and application layer. So nowadays most of the student or most of the faculty who are looking for the good project, and they are having or they are looking for the two to three tier architecture. So depends on their application they have. So you can go through any kind of the architecture whatever you want, but nothing we need to understand what kind of architecture we are having. Okay, so while exploring the MySQL query or exploring the command of the SQL, I'm directly accessing the MySQL. I'm working on the MySQL directly without any application. So I'm using only the one tier architecture. So I have already explained about that part. Yes, till now or so far we have discussed one, two, three tier architecture. So do you have any doubt? Then you can ask me. Yes, please, student. Tell me any doubt you are feeling. So if I give you any query or if I give you any questions from these kind of the architecture, then you can explain.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a good point. So anything you are just remembering any example which is relevant to the one tier architecture, two tier architecture, you can also explain with your own words to right now if you want to speak. To speak, then you.
Sir, as you said, Google is using entire architecture.
Yes, Google is using entire architecture. Why I'm saying I will explain, but if you haven't doubt, then you can ask me. But you are having
Sir,
some different.
sir, I want to ask something, sir. Like you have told us the example of one tier architecture as we are executing on MySQL. Entire
Yes.
architecture is used by Google. And sir, what is the real life example for two tier and three tier?
Okay. Yes, I'm just giving here. Just. Okay. One tier architecture is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm just let me add few slide over here just before coming that part. Yes. Now this is two-tier architecture. In two-tier architecture, what happened at the time? Suppose you are designing any project that is XYZ. Okay, and this is your program on which you are writing any project. Okay, now this is the name of the project. I'm giving the XYZ, and you are using any programming language. So that could be C, C++, Java, okay, any other language. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at the time you are making your system as a server. Okay, now let it be explained to all the concept properly. Right now your system is bx client, but you want to make a project that could be client server oriented. So you are looking for a website. Okay, you are looking for a website that is you want to give the your website name that is abc.com, suppose. Okay, abc.com, or you are creating any project which is a web application. Okay, so that is a web application. Now this part is clear to you all.
Yes, sir.
Okay, after creating any website or web application, if you are thinking this web application should be visible to all the people who is connected to the my system, no problem, you can do. At the time your web application will be categorized into two different way. Okay, so one is only the client oriented, and other is the server oriented. From the we're talking about server oriented web application, so here we have the ASP, that is active server pages. Now we have the GSP, that is server Java server pages. Okay, have you heard the term about GSP the BHP?
Yes, sir. Just heard about these terms.
Okay, no problem. So whenever we need to write the some web pages, and that is to be visible to the all the people who can access directly without any problem. So ASP and GSP and PHP are the good example. Now suppose if we want to display the result of the all the students, so suppose we have the 10,000 students, then we have to design the 10,000 pages and inform the static manner. So it will be completely wrong work or wastage work, because 10,000 web pages your server. Why? So at the time we have the dynamic web pages we have to design, and the PHP, ASP, and GSP provide the dynamic web pages. But when you are looking for the dynamic web pages development, but at the time these technique or these technology PHP and GSP and ESP require the some web server. Okay, please, I am coming on that part. Web server, at the time your machine, your system should be web server. So for web server, for the PHP and GSP and ESP we have. So for ASP, what web server we have the Tomcat server. Okay, for the GSP, Java has the own web server, so we have. And PHP, so we have the different web servers, we have to go through that part. So at the time you as a server, so your machine will be transformed into the client to server machine, while after installing the web server application. And that could be Tomcat server. Okay, any server you can do, and depend on the what technology you are using. So at the time your machine becomes the client as well as the server right now, no issue. So after installing or after creating the website, in suppose you have the database in your system, that is a uh, faculty database or student database. Okay, or any student database. Through this web application you are trying to access the detail of the such student by putting his or her name, number, roll number. Then what happened, this in the system we have the one web application. This system we have the web server. So it defined that my server is now, my system is now changed into the server. And now we have the student database. Okay, so when you try to connect this system, your system to other system, and other system can easily access by giving just detail. So we can say now this is the example of two-tier architecture. Now how we can say two-tier architecture? Now web application is our interface why we are accessing the database. So here I can draw, this is the student database. Here we have the student database. Here we have the web application web server, so we have the WS means web server. And here you are putting a request or putting any query, so it is a client. So this database is what, this is database stored into the system, that is known as the server. Okay, so at the time this server is known as the DB server. And what the interface, we have the web server interface or any web application, that is a WA. So what is the protocol by which I can do, that is a WAP. Okay, so that is a web application protocol. So with help of such protocol I can make the my system in the two-tier architecture. So now this is the step, and this is the reply part. Is it clear to all? This is the best example of and my system, I'm
Yes,
using
sir.
only the my system, I'm using all my system only. My system is not connected to any other system right now, but now my system is transformed to the client to server. But other thing is required, that is a web application. So I am not accessing the directly MySQL database. I'm accessing the student detail from the my web application, just putting the xyz.com or any local host. Okay, I can make the my system into local host. So through the local host I'm just getting the details, so through the Mozilla or through the Internet Explorer or through any web browser. So this is the interface. This such a browser. Is it clear to all you? Is it clear to you all
Yes,
right
sir. It
now?
is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now when talking about the three-tier architecture, since I can explain in very simple way. This is your machine. Okay. This is your machine. You're looking for the gmail.com. Okay. You're looking for the gmail.com. Okay. So n- through the through the internet, you are accessing the information through the this cloud is just like internet. Okay. So through the internet, you are accessing the Google server. This is the Google server. Now, this is a Google server. From this Google server, you can access the Gmail. What now? What is the beauty of the Google? Google is divided its server into the its various sub server. Now, let me explore more detail about the server. Okay, why the Google is just dividing its server into sub server? Because we can manage the or Google. So when looking for the gmail.com, then your request will go to the Google server, and the Google server will pass the information to the mail server to determine that this is valid mail or not. If it is valid, then you can log in. Then other facility like different products which is supported by the Google, those are, can anyone tell me what are the other product which is supported by the Google? Those are, please tell me, except the Gmail.
Sir,
It
YouTube.
has it has YouTube. Good. So so when you need to look for the video, so definitely you will not jump to the mail server, you will go to the YouTube server. Okay. Then other, please tell me other other products of the Google.
Google Docs, sir.
Google Docs. So we can say documentation. Okay, so we have the document server. So I can write document server. So whenever you need to update some document, so you will not jump to the mail server or YouTube server, you will jump to the document server where the your documents are stored. Okay. So this is the point we can say. Now how many server we have the one server, two server, and three server. And with the this beauty of the Google organization, we can say Google is using entire architecture. So that's why I was saying that entire architecture. Why? Because from this mail to the your system, so there will be the internet and there will be other interfaces. So how many interfaces we have, so we don't know exactly. So that's why we can say Google is using entire architecture. Okay. And here this mail server is maybe also connected to your region like India. So we have the gmail.com, but after Google, suppose you need to looking for the google.com. So initially it was the google.com, but right now we have the google.co.in. In the Pakistan we have the google.pk. In the Australia we have the google.co.au. In the UK we have the google.co.uk. And in the other country we have the google.co. Something like that. So co is defined that it is a commercial website. Okay, it is a commercial website, but we are accessing the information from its country server as well. So we have the .co.in, we have the UK, and we have US as well. Okay. And if you're looking for other country like uh, NL, so it is represented by the Netherlands. Okay. So this is the thing. Now is it clear to all about the entire architecture? So why I told you about the Google is using, or Google is just having the facility to have the entire architecture. Yes, please tell me. And for your machine to access the internet, you have some interface over here, or from this internet to the access server we have the other interfaces. So this is the point. Yes, now please tell me. Yes, now student asked me the question about the entire actor. Is it clear to you, dear? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Now this is a real kind of the application I'm taking. So is it clear to you? Okay. Now can I jump to the my next part, or any doubt you can ask me? No doubt.
No, sir.
Okay. So
No,
I'm
sir.
moving. Okay. So I'm moving to the actual architecture. You can found this architecture from the internet, from the book or internet as well. So this architecture is given by the Handy of Course book, which is a very standard book. So most of the people who just try to learn the database in very beginning way, so they will understand this architecture. So from my class, you will found that I started from the this concept from the application part, and that is necessary part where the architecture kind of the or architecture category we can use. And this is a bookish diagram, and you can see this diagram is applicable to the any kind of a database system. But how we can understand? So now we can understand in simple way, because we have seen the various application where the architecture is important. So from this part, you can see we have the naive user. This is the first part. Now you can see that is dotted down, dotted line. Each and every dotted line is defined its own different levels. Query processor part and storage manager. Okay, and now this is the disk storage where the actual data is stored. Okay, and now this is part which is supported by the users only. So here you can find that we have the various kind of users like naive user. So naive user is a new user who don't know much about the, who does not know about the more part about the programming other things. So he can access, or she can access the information with the help of the application interface. So through the application program and object code, so that is internal which is supported process will be the internal uh, part of the database management system. Okay, and we have the database compiler, so on which your query will be compiled, because you are writing the query in like English statements like so star from and so and so and so. So but that English statement kind of the, but that is to be required to transform into the machine language. So how it is done? And that is done by the database compiler or DB compiler. Okay, so this is the point you need to keep in mind. So naive user is putting the query through the application interface. So application program now got to be identified, and it go to the DML query. And DML query will be correct if there is no error. So your DML query will be executed. So DML compiler and organizer will do, and query evaluation engine will check what kind of query will be given by the user, and it will be executed. So after executing, that is query processor or processing part, the information that is managed by the store manager will check it is buffer manager or file manager. Maybe you are putting the query directly, or maybe you are writing the query, or maybe you are looking for the looking a query which is stored query. Okay, so from the stored query, or your query will be maybe saved. So from the saved query you are looking for that part, so that is also done by the file manager. And again, authorization and integrity is manager will check. You are asking for the password, but you are not allowed to access the password details of the all the users. So definitely authentication authorization part will be checked. And now check the constraint which is given by the query itself only. So now we have the transaction manager. So all these part are done at the different level. Same thing we can go for the application program. So application program will be written by the programmer, and through the application program, as I told you, that could be web application like one. So web application is also compile itself. Okay, and then after compilation the information pass into the compiler and linker. So due to the compiler and linker, your web application will be linked up with the database. Okay, so how to link? And that is done by the compiler and linker. And finally it goes to application code. So now transform, after transforming application program and object code, now DML query will be identified into the machine language, that is of course done by the query process style only. And same process will go on to the query evaluation engine, and then buffer manager, file manager, and authorization and authorization and integrity manager. And then we will see the information from the data indices or data dictionary or statistical data. I will explain in very short way about the data indexes and data dictionary and statistical data, but let me explain more about the users as well. Sophisticated users are those users which important user, and most of the this kind of user will look for the detail about the things which is necessary for the sophisticated user. Sophisticated, you can understand, these are the people we are just like user. Okay, we are familiar about the query, we know how to write the query, we know the term of the each and every. So we will use any query tool, like I'm using the any editor, notepad, no, could be notepad or just like the notepad. I'm putting the my query over there and passes the my query to the from the such tool to the my database. So I'm not writing query directly on the MySQL. I'm using any other tool, I'm putting the my query over there and just transform to the such query into the that file to the MySQL. So I'm using the query tool because I'm sophisticated user. So I know the basic thing about the such part. Same thing we have the DBA. DBA is a database administrator. It is most important part for the database management system, and this user knows the basic detail about the admission policies. So admission through the admission tools, he can follow the detail interpreter because he knows how to create the file and what the how many files we have and how to create and what are the various things. So DDL definition language part is done by the admission. So the naive user, application program user, and sophisticated user just only know the part or access the information only. But data definition language will be done by the admin. Okay, on the VTOP, you have created your own account? No, they have given the some link. You can just put in the your details, and details is just accessed by the admin, and admin just transform your information to the database, and that is done by the detail interpreter. Okay, so this is the point you need to keep in mind, and rest of the thing will go into the same process: query processor and storage manager, and store into the data, and so on. So if we're talking about this data part, it is indices and data dictionary and statistical data. In statistical data, data is stored into the statistical way, just like mathematical function and other details. Okay, if you need to access the information about the mathematically, I need to do the sum of the all the balance which is stored, which is just maintaining by the myself. So I'm using some function. I need the aggregate thing, so I'm using the average function. So this is also maintained by the statistical data. Data dictionary just keep the information about the data, and it is also known as the metadata. This is a data about the data, data about the data. I will tell you more detail about data in simple way you can understand. Now address. Now I have your addresses, and this address will keep the detail about the basic details about the your local address and permanent address. If I'm looking for the permanent address, then you have the state, you have the district, you have the country, and you have the colony, you have the house number. So all these details will be maintained by the address column or field only. So this is known as the data about the data, or it is also example of the data dictionary. Okay, and data means basic data, and indices mean we can say the term which is coming from the index. Okay, so whenever we have the data in form of the indexed way, so that is also maintained by the index, and it will take the reference of the actual data. So in index way, the your information will be stored into the index way. Index way means we can say it could be in shorted way or unshorted way. Also, what are the parameter by which I am applying the indexing on the my data? Okay, so that is also represented by the indices because we have the multiple index file. So we have the four kind of the things we will manage by the we will see into the disk storage: data indices, data dictionary, and statistical data. So we have the four kind of users: naive user, application program, sophisticated user, and database administrator. Database administrator has the facility only the data say DDL. Rest of the people can only the access the data only. They can insert the defined database, but who will define the data? Admin. And this is the some point which is done by the query processor, and storage manager define that what are the form on which your information to be stored. in the buffer manager, in the file manager, or some kind of integrity manager and transaction manager. I'm doing a transaction from the ATM, so my information is already stored. Okay, so I'm not creating anything. So just as a sophisticated, I'm just putting the pin number because I know how to access the ATM card. So I'm putting the ATM card physically and putting the pin number, and after getting the few things I'm just waiting for the few seconds. So that is to be done by the query processor, and after the query processor, my query is executed, so it will give a message what you want. So I'm choosing the appropriate option. Thereafter my transaction will be done. So there will be the list or log details, which is known as the transaction manager management. So when looking for the entry into the passbook, so your transaction is complete transaction detail from your opened account. Now you can see till now when I just withdrawn, when I did the deposited, and so on so process. So this is also done by the transaction managers. Transaction manager is a log record kind of details. It just contain the entire detail when you have withdrawn or deposited. Okay, and when you have just transferred account as well. So this is the point we can say. So this is also done by the storage manager, and all these things are the part of the database management system. So user is directly connected, but how user access the information, how user will transform their information one system to another system, so it is also done by the database management system. So this is the overall architecture and functionality of the database management system. Now in this architecture, any point you are looking for, then you can ask me, and let me clear about the query evaluation engine. This is the most important part, because on the query evaluation engine your query will be executed. This is the point where query to be executed. Yes, please tell me any point you are feeling right now, any doubt, then you can ask me, student, please. This is the most important architecture, and there will be the 99% chance I can ask this question into the midterm examination, we're truly speaking. Yes, please tell me any doubt having. Yes, please, student.
No doubt, sir.
It is clear to all about this diagram because it is most important diagram. But truly speaking, I am speaking right now. This 99 chance will be there will be the 99 chance to ask this question to the examination. So if this diagram is clear to all, then I have only the 2 minutes to explore the more detailed part about the DBA. What is the DBA functionality and why I'm saying a DBA? DBA means database administrator, and what is the role of the database administrator? Because database administrator is the most important part in terms of the user who will define the data and who can manipulate data as well. But if he is defining data or she is defining data in form of the DBA, then what is the role? He can define the schema. Okay, he can define the schema means he can design, but other people who are connected with that database, you just accessing the information. That could be sophisticated user, that could be application programmer, or that could be naive user. Suppose I have designed the student table, I am giving the right, you can access the detail of the student. Do you have any right to change any field name, column name? No. So btop admin just define the table or database. You have to put the your name, roll number, and name, and other detail, and like a address and other details. But you can't update anything. Update means you can't enhance or you can't increase or decrease any column name. So the column name which is given by the admin you have to use. So you don't have any right to define the any database details. So you have right only, you have accessibility only the DML. And in the faculty we have the DML facility because they can insert the marks, they can update the marks as well. So this is known as the DML facility they have. But as a you people, you can't you have only the view details, so you can just view, you can't update, you can't edit. So okay, so you can have the facility that is known as the query. So you have the DQL, so you can just put the query, what is the marks I got it. Okay, so you can see, but you can't have the DML. But DBA has the DDL facility, DCL facility, a DQL facility, and DML facility. Just please tell me any doubt. Is it clear to all about this diagram, each and every point? Since we have discussed lots of the things about this part already,
Yes, sir.
each and everything is clear to all. If I give you any question from this architecture, then you can elaborate, okay, in your terms. Okay, is it clear to all?
Yes,
If
sir.
it, okay, so the last part we have, that is a database administrator, that is DBM. So what is the role of the database? Database management system duties include schema definition. He or she can define the table, and he can define the storage structure and access method. Okay, I'm giving the privilege to you only. You can view only. Okay, you can't update the marks. You can't manipulate the marks. So I'm just giving the rights only. And schema and physical organization modification. So DB. It means I'm as an admin, so I have the rights. I can grant the permission. I can grant the user. Okay. Suppose I'm faculty. I just need to update the marks of the some student. But right now, unfortunately, I put the wrong marks. I need to update. So I just drop a mail or drop a query to the admin. Just please, can you give me rights, or can you give me, or can you grant my request to update such marks? So he or she will provide the grant. So granting user authority to access the database and specify integrity constant. So what is specify integrity constant? Okay, the roll number should be, or the mark should be less than 100. I'm giving the marks 125 to you out of 100. Is it possible? No. So the integrity constant means I can give only the 0 to 100 marks only. So this is the constant I can define while writing or while defining or designing the table. Okay, so this is my role, this is my responsibility. And acting as a liaison with the user, so definitely acting as a liaison with the user I need to do. So this is my admin duty. And the monitoring and performance, and responding the changes in requirement. Okay, so I need to monitor the time to time, uh, that is a size of the database and how many entry I have. If anyone is not doing the duplicacy entry, if duplicacy entry is over there, so I need to rectify such part. Okay, while I'm giving a chance, you can write your you can fill the form. You are filling the form again, so why you are wasting your time? So I need to filter out the data, so monitor the performance and responding the changes in required, so I can check out. So this is the responsibility, this is the work which is done by the DB only. And but truly speaking, I can ask this question into the midterm, and there is a 99.9 chance this question can be asked by me into the examination. What is the responsibility which is to be done by DBA? So you have to write all these activity in little bit detailed manner. Okay, so this is the heading ways I am giving you over here, but you have to write in detail way. But if I'm looking the for database as user, so I told you the application programmer just interact with the system through the DML calls or DML queries, we can say. But if I'm looking for the specialized user, then specialized database application that do not fit into the traditional database processing framework. So as a specialized user, just I need to put the some queries through the some application part rather than the traditional approach. And sophisticated user just put the request through the query language. So I need to use the appropriate SQL because I know how to write the query. And now you are before joining this class, you were the nav user. You don't know about the how to write the query. But after learning the DML or detailed definition part, that how to write the query, then now you have changed into the nav user to the sophisticated user. So if you need to update something, if you need to do amendment, or if you need to insert a record, then you can do so because you are familiar with the query part. A nav user, new user are those user just who are the new user, and they just follow the instruction which is given by the programmer or which is already defined. So like you are filling a form for the job placement purpose. So the field which is provided by the web application, okay, and that is name, age, date of birth. But at the last, they ask the Aadhaar card number. So at the last, you need to put the Aadhaar card number. At the beginning, you can't put. Okay, so this is the framework or this is a performer which is designed by the programmer, so you have to follow, because we are the new user, we can't do anything. The things which is given by the um, uh, existing which is given by the web application, so I need to do follow. Okay, in the gmail.com, uh, have you ever tried to put the roll number or username first or password? First you need to put the username, then you can put the password. So there is a performer which is given by the Google server, Gmail server, we can say. So there is a things we need to do follow. We can't do anything. So most of the people who is accessing the information through the internet, all are becomes the part of the name user only. So this is the database user we need to keep in mind, and this is the point I told you about the database admission. So there will be the 2 points from the today's class. There will be the database architecture and data admin roles. So you all have to go through the such kind of the thing. Now, any doubt in this database slide and database user slide? You can ask me, please. Yes, student, please, you can ask me. You have any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
So today, what